Hi there, this is Two Legs Better, and welcome back to my channel. And I apologize for the long wait. It's been a while since I post, and last post was actually after the game against the team up north and before the Big Ten championship game. And after the game, somebody actually posted it to me and said, where are you? And thanks for the consideration. It's fun to be, to be on somebody's mind. Well, fans, right? But anyway, it's been a while, and this is a channel. It's like a casual channel, so I see all of you as friends. If you come to see me talking, listen to me talking, I'll just share my thoughts on this. So and I'll share with you what happened in between, and because I was literally on vacation. I was on my way to Fiji, and when during the Big Ten championship game. But anywho, so in today's episode, I will share with you my thoughts. And a lot of things have changed since then, so let's see what happens. So, of course, first, I need to acknowledge that next week, the Buckeyes will play against the Miami Hurricanes. And actually, I watched that game, not in the stadium, but I was there at Ohio State. That was the time that I truly become a Buckeye fan. I was so impressed with Jim Tressel and everything. So I was hooked to the sports ever since that. And that was what a game it was. It's just interesting. The Miami fans are still have a grudge on that. I watched that game, so it's interesting, and I was part of the online argument as well back then, but I have some stories I can share about that. But I kind of want to go back to through the memory lane a little bit, and it's just a casual chat. So stick around if you just kind of want to know. Anywho, so. What happened was during the Big Ten championship game, I came to this place. I went to this place. This is Fiji, and it's a tropical island north of New Zealand. So I was in transition during the Big Ten championship game, and actually missed the last 2 minutes of the game. So I missed the field goal. And but I had a bad feeling that week because I kind of know it was going to be a tough game, right? Everybody knows it was a tough game. Nobody underestimates Indiana University at the moment. I think Signetti really did a great job there, and the team is playing like a team, and that is the most dangerous thing. Many times, I play football myself, the real football, the European football, and I was team captain for a while. So we had good teams, with good players, but it didn't play. We didn't play as a team, and we also had subpar players, but we played as a team. So I understand when a team plays as a team, it's like a functional machine. When it's a machine, it doesn't matter if it's better or perfect or not. It's going to maximize what it does. So, but anywho, so I had a bad feeling that week because, particularly because of what happened to Brian Hartline. And I think he deserves that. He deserves to have a shot to be a head coach somewhere, especially in the sunny South Florida. University of South Florida in Tampa, and that's a beautiful place, and he has connections there, and it's a perfect fit for him, of course. But the thing is, let's see what he did. So he basically, I think he inked the contract on Tuesday night, So he called Ryan Day immediately to inform him. And Ryan Day, after that, he realized how important Brian Hartline was, especially to those new recruits, high school graduates, new recruits, particularly for the wide receivers. So he contacted especially Chris Henry Jr. right away. I cannot say enough about how impressed I was with the move. I mean, it's midnight and it's but he was in either Hawaii or California, so it was still early for Chris Henry, I suppose. But Chris Henry was notoriously hard to reach, so they couldn't reach him directly. So they had to contact his people, his agents, and inform him about the decision, because it's a big thing. A lot of people were mainly recruited by Brian Hartline, especially the receivers, the top receiver in the country. You think about how important Chris Henry was, right? And then Chris Henry spent about less than 2 days to ponder on the decision, and eventually decided to stick with Ohio State, because there were other places offering double the money for him to go, like Southern California, Oregon. They were all on the West Coast, and all these things. And so that's Chris Henry. But I don't want to sound like I blame Chris Henry for that. You could be a reason, but it's not necessarily something to blame, because I applaud him for that decision. I think it's not easy for an 19-year-old to make such an important decision, to be so thorough in the decision process. I'm so impressed with that. I think ultimately, that's his decision, right? So he's like, okay, I need to think about it, because something's changed. This is on his part, it's a prudent decision, and that's great for him. And he talked to people. He thought about that, and then weigh all the options, but it was unfortunate for Ohio State, because then Brian Hartline was trying to reach him, trying to convince him to stick with Ohio State. And by the way, that's also a good thing for Hartline. He's a Buckeye. He was doing his job. He didn't use his new thing, say, if you're having second thoughts, come to South Florida with me. So whatever. So basically, those things were on the mind. I mean, many coaches were involved, at least the Coach Day, and I would assume other coaches as well, like Bailey and others. And multiple players reach out to Chris Henry as well, and even some of the players' parents. It's really a brotherhood. It's a beautiful thing to watch. But what it was is it was a distraction for 2 days, 2 full days. So that kind of takes away some of the time that could be devoted to prepare for a tough opponent as Indiana University. So I'm not suggesting that Indiana has, like they have everything is just peachy for them. They don't have to. They also need to go through the same thing. That's the signing day, right? I'm just trying to make some excuses for my Buckeyes, right? Anywho, and then the game, I was on the road and following, and it was impressive. It was impressive. I made a comment on a Buckeye website, Buckeye forum, and was dinged because people didn't like it, because I said you have to slay the dragon to announce your arrival. That's what I think Indiana is. Last year, Indiana was great. They get to the playoff, but they were killed. They were killed first the 2 times they were facing the real threats. They were defeated by the Buckeyes and then by Notre Dame. And this year, you want to tell everybody, I'm here. you can't just beat up everybody else and then just lay down in front of the giant dragon. That's what Ohio State is. Ohio State has been at the top, near the top for many years there. So you have to show that. So I think it's a great thing for the Hoosiers, for them to get a win. But I'm not really worried. I'm not really worried because it didn't really affect the Buckeyes too much. They dropped from number 1 to number 2. I would hope them to drop to number 5. But it is what it is. So number 2 is not that bad. I mean, they were playing for the hardwire, of course, but now they have added motivation to get more things. Hopefully, they can face Indiana again in the final and to revenge that. So, but that's a story for another day, right? So, but the thing is, so that's the Big Ten championship game. But I'm not really worried about it. And you may say, oh yeah, of course you. Well, I admit I'm a Buckeye homer. Of course, I think from I look at things from my scarlet colored lenses of the Buckeyes. But I'm not worried because, for one, Buckeyes were not 100%. A few people were injured. Some people say it was a light down from the previous game against the team up north. That was a emotionally draining game. I don't see it that way. I think emotions are important, but it's not that important. What's really important is your body. I mean, you can be motivated, you think you're motivated, but if your body is not there, you're not there. Many times I study psychology, so from a psychology perspective, we just rely on us. We think our mind can do things, but it just can't. Mind over matter. That's what Ryan Day said in his press conference. But mind doesn't really go over matter. It can help, but it doesn't. If your body is not there, that's what I mean by Tagra Shabola. Tagra played his best game, the best game of his life against the team up north. But then he played a terrible game against Indiana University. Is it because Indiana University's defensive line is just that much better? Well, maybe. But Tagra was also injured a little bit, injured in that game against the team up north, and so were at least Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith. And both of them were not 100% in the championship game. And now they have several weeks to rest. And Jeremiah Smith said he's back to 100%, and I believe him. I think he's being honest. So that's something. And then, of course, it adds some variations there because Tagra is confirmed with the injury, so he's going to miss the future games this year, and so they're going to put somebody else in. That's Vansico and Josh Padilla, Gabe Vansico. So how well they are going to do against with the rest of the offensive line, we'll see. And but I think I don't think they have to be perfect to win this game against Miami. Miami had 7 sacks against Texas A&M, and Indiana University had 5 sacks against the Buckeyes. So if the offensive line can limit the sacks to 2 or 3, I think they have a good chance. And I think it's doable, even with a kind of a new offensive line. And sometimes I think it's a good thing to have a new offensive line, relatively new, of course, because they have been practicing together all the time. And now, psychologically speaking, when you bring some new elements, it kind of a refresh, make everybody on alert. That's why sometimes you have a new quarterback, say, in 2014 when Cardell Jones took over. It's like everybody is trying to protect him because everybody knew it's a huge challenge. This is a new guy, and he's capable, but he also needs our help. This is the same kind of thing. We have somebody here, and he's capable, but he also needs our help. So we need to pay special attention to that. So that to a unit, because the offensive line need to play as a unit. That actually, I think, is a good thing. So I have my confidence on the offensive line. If the offensive line does the job, then the game is not going to be very close. The Vegas clearly has a lot of confidence and has Buckeyes a 10-point favorite in this situation. So, anywho, so that's about the game. But to me, for that game, I just want to be a fan. I want to watch it. This is why we play the game, right? We have two, equally worthy teams, kind of, on the field, and every team is playing, trying their best to win, and that's going to be a beautiful thing. Now, before, I know I already got into the game, but before I get into the game, I want to talk about something else. First, I want to talk about is, when I was gone in Fiji, it rained a lot. This is not the best time to go to Fiji, and it's a beautiful island. And if you're interested, I can talk about Fiji for a little while. If you're considering to take a vacation there or something, my simple advice is spend money if you go there. If not, you probably spend money. I mean, is you book a nice hotel and then book some tours. It doesn't have to be expensive. There are more affordable tours as well, and go to the islands and go snorkeling or scuba diving and do some of the cool things there. It's beautiful there. It's nice. Other than that, it's we spent several days in Suva, the capital city, and we also spent several days in Nadi. In Nadi, it was nice, but it was purely catered to tourism, and people there are nice, but they want your money because you're basically you're a walking wallet to a lot of them. And the Suva, the capital city, is not much. It's okay, but it's not really a kind of vacation spot. But whatever. But when I was there, this thing happened. This guy, I don't want to say much. I don't want to say much. It's just I guess I don't know. I don't know what to say. It's just I was like, is this real? Is this true? Is this It's kind of like years ago when Rich Rodriguez, when he was let go, the Buckeye fans were like crying, "Don't go, stay." Oh well, Anywho, I mean, if you don't know, check out the story. He's from like the $1 million coach for one of the largest, one of the big institutions, to being in jail, right? It's so funny. It's my years on this planet tells me that if you hear somebody talking shit, talk about how ethical they are, how morally superior they are, how arrogant, how much better they are than everybody else, something fishy is going on. Really. I mean, I'm a Buckeye homer, but I don't pretend the Buckeyes are just better than everybody else, especially in the moral ground. They do things, probably more or less like everybody else. Of course, some programs are shadier than others, and some people are shadier than others. They try, sometimes they get away with things. It's just that, I mean, what boggling my mind is that some of the things, it's just so. You think about how Ohio State handled the Chris Henry Jr. situation. Brian Hartline got the contract, and they contacted these wide receiver recruits right away. The next day is signing day. So they contact them right away to give them enough time. The first time they know about the news, they give them the news so they have enough time, plenty of time, not plenty of time, enough time to at least, first, you know what I mean, right? And for the team up north, for this classic institute, they waited a few days after the signing day to fire a coach. I mean, it's sure they had an investigation in the summer, and what they did is they asked the two people to come to the office and ask them, "Are you having an affair with that person? Are you fucking that person, basically?" And they were like, "No." And then the investigation concluded, "Oh, nothing. They denied it. So there's nothing going on." What the? I thought you guys are smart. Literally, in their local restaurant, they have a pizza. I think it's a pizza named after the mistress. So the food are named after the royalties of the program, right? The former players and some of the and then the current head coach, that was Sherrone Moore. And there was something named after an assistant, a young female assistant. Why? What makes her so deserving to be on that menu? Are you telling me that nobody noticed that? No, it's just, I guess that's how things are done there. I just don't know. I mean, that's how smart people do things, right? It's about deniability. I don't know. Is it raining? I don't know. It's wet. I know it's wet, but I don't think it's raining. Oh my God. Oh, this is so funny to me. But this is how our world has come to, right? In a way, is that, if you're in power, you have the decision, you can do whatever you want. It's like the AD is still there, and, have you wondered if Sherrone Moore led the team beat Ohio State in the game, do you think he would be fired? I think that's how he thought. He probably believed, you fired me just because I lost the game. Well, I think he has a point, But anyway, I'm just it's a soap opera. It's just so funny to me. I mean, oh man. Anywho, and I want to comment a little bit on the other one. This is the one on my previous show I comment about, the guy, the player, Legend Bay. He recently, I don't think he's there yet, but he is about to turn 18. And so the current news is that he finally signed with Ohio State. This story is interesting to me. For one, is that it's clearly the will between a young child, 17-year-old boy, and his mother, or including his family. I'm certain there are financial things are at stake here, but I have no insider news on that, so I can't say for sure. But clearly, his mother forced him to sign with Tennessee, and he just insisted to go to Ohio State. And I think Tennessee, I kind of want to applaud for Tennessee to grant him the release from the contract. I don't know if they have any choice though, because but still, it's a nice thing to do. I'm sure they put in a lot of resources in this, but I know how big it is. I know these athletes, how important they are for schools and things like that. Literally millions of dollars and lots of resources and hours and efforts are put into the process to secure them. But still, it's anyway. I'm very glad it comes to an end. It's one of the other stories, Chris Henry's story, Junior story, and this story. There were the two things that really kind of distracted the Buckeyes a lot during the signing week. But anyway, so this one came to an end, and so that's a good thing there. Okay, now, what else was fun? Yeah, Notre Dame didn't make the college playoff, right? I mean, it's another funny thing to me. It's I don't know. It's I remember back in the day, in the BCS days, and also the college football playoff, the 4-team playoff days. You have this kind of debate all the time, right? Every year you have one or two teams that is debatable. I remember the 2014 years, the Buckeyes made it into the 4-team playoff over the other two one-loss team in Baylor and TCU in Big 12. But part of that was because of the Buckeyes' performance in the championship game. That was 59-0 over Wisconsin. So, what I thought was back in those days, I don't think some of them were the best decisions. For example, like 2015. 2015, the Buckeyes, if they were in the 4-team playoff, they're going to win. It was a great team. It was really, literally a great team. Actually, Brian Kelly openly said it was the best team that year. So, but that sounds like an excuse for his team's losses, right? Anywho, but the thing is, even for those years, all the bad decisions the committee made, they are justifiable. They are justifiable. They have reasons. They have reasons that's like you can come out, you can talk to people, and people would say, okay, I disagree, but I see where you come from. And this year, I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, it's just like they have to put Alabama in. Which I understand. You can make a good argument for Alabama to be in, but not based on the performance. They played terrible in the championship game, and and then Notre Dame is like I think they're screwed. They literally should be in, but people play rules. I just love that. I'm from China, so I know what it is. I just love that. When the rules benefit me, I'm going to play with the rules. When the rules don't benefit me, I'm going to play with something else, right? I mean, the other two spots you have to give to the group 5, right? So 2 spots were taken. That's the rule, right? Are they the best 12 teams? Who cares? They follow the rules. And then the other ones, right? So Alabama, we want them in. So what do? You can't drop them. After a terrible loss, you can't drop them. If you drop them, you have to drop them after Notre Dame, right? So you can't drop them. What do? You keep them there. You keep them there, and then you move you move what's there? Um, you move Miami there, and you know then you compare Miami with because you dropped BYU, right? BYU lost to the same team twice, and what's the surprise there, right? We knew the first time they were not as good as the other team, and they performed admirably, but then suddenly you drop it, and then you put them together and say, oh, now head to head has to matter, I think if you put in other excuses, well, other excuses are not that powerful, I suppose. You can say Miami played well in the last 3-4 games, but so did Notre Dame. Actually, Notre Dame played brilliantly in the last few games. Um, it's all politics. It's all politics. It's not about football. To me, at least to me, it's all politics. It's just, but it's kind of funny to see how Notre Dame gets screwed, and then their reactions. They were like, come out and cry. No, I don't want to play with you anymore. You used me to make money, and now you don't give me what I want, what I deserve. Oh well, it's kind of the cool thing about the college football, though. It's always something for people to talk about. It's a long tradition. At one point, student athletes was a sacred thing. At one point, the bowl game were a sacred thing. At one point, the students, the athletes cannot transfer. It's a sacred thing. And now it's open market, whatever. It's just it's kind of interesting. And you can't also you can't ignore all the money that's involved there. If Notre Dame gets in, they keep all the money. And if Alabama gets in, that's one more team for SEC, more money to share for all the teams. So why not? It's just I don't know. But from a football perspective, I have a different take on that, because the criticism at the BCS era and even later, like a 14 conference playoff era, is that some capable teams that's capable of winning are not included. It's like the 2014 Buckeyes would not have won it based on the BCS system because they were not top 2. They were number 4. But now, because even you have number 4, you can have 5-6 teams that's capable of winning everything, right? So now you have a 12 team. 12 teams to me like a redundant, because there will be 2-3 teams that just don't deserve to be there. Like last year's Indiana. Last year Indiana, they were good, but they were not great. They really were not there. But do they deserve a chance? You can't just say I told you so. I based on my judgment. So I kind of like the current 12 team format. And I mean, you still had 2 good games, and the other 2 were blowouts, and that's actually okay. I don't think it was. I think it was okay. 2 out of 4 is not bad for the first round, right? And the second round is going to be good games for all the teams, all the matchups, and we'll see. It's interesting. Hey, what? What? Hey, I didn't know that. So you can do this, huh? Anywho, so back to the game. So there, if you pay attention to the Buckeye sports, Buckeye football, you probably already know that there are a few things that caught my attention. One is that Ryan Day is going to take back the play calling duties. I think It's because Brian Hartline is clearly distracted. He's not there all the time, and he has another other responsibilities. So so I think it's important that Ryan did take back the play calling duties, and but how well would it be? Is it remained to be seen, I suppose. Um, there are other things a lot of people talked about, and I kind of concur. Is mainly the red zone issues in the red zone, how they take out, they try to run the ball, they take out JJ and Kate Tate, Carnell Tate. I I personally don't think it's smart. Like a lot of people pointed out, you put them in the game, they attract attention. I mean, Jeremiah is a cheat code. Put him in, just throw it to him. It's really, you need two person to defend him. But anyway, so let's just see what's going to happen this time around. But I think the Buckeyes are in a better position than last year. Last year, with Jim Knowles' defense, as good as they have played, I will be nervous. I would not be confident at all if it was a one score game at near the end of the game. I just don't have the confidence in that. Not this year. This year, if it's a one score game, I have confidence in the defense to stop. The special team, I still have my doubts. Funny enough, the special team actually overall wasn't that bad. It's just in the critical moment, the Big Ten championship game, it was a cheap shot. Anyway, I guess the hope is the game doesn't come to that point, and I think the Miami is actually a good matchup for the Buckeyes because they do have the talents. Probably not as much as the Buckeyes, but they are close. They have people especially on the defensive line. The defensive line, they can do some damage, and if they have another 5-sack game, the Buckeyes are kind of in trouble. I don't care how good Julian Saint is, or any quarterback. Even if you look at Tom Brady, it's hard for Tom Brady to perform if he was constantly harassed. Because if you have 5 sacks, you probably have like 10 QB hurries, and that's like half of the time on the passing downs. You are either harassed or sacked. That's just not good, and that will affect the performance a lot. So we'll see. That's clearly the important matchup to look at. The good thing about the Buckeyes is that I think all Buckeye fans have the confidence in the defense, and so do I. Not much to say there. It's just motivation, right? I think the Buckeyes, they lost the last game, and that's a big thing. And players are pissed. They want to get revenge. They just want to unleash that to somebody. And also the awards season. It's just I did you see the clip for the Heisman news conference? Everybody, all the reporters were surrounding Pavia and Mendoza, and just only one person was at the table for Julian Saint. I imagine that. Imagine you are a big time athlete. You are the starting quarterback of the Ohio State Buckeyes, and you are ignored like that. The other two guys sitting next to you, and everybody is like, well, you're so brilliant. Why are you so brilliant? And you are sitting here is like, so they don't care about me, huh? Think about what it does to the psyche. I love that in athletes, because the Nick Saban calls it the red poison, right? Because if everybody tells you you're so brilliant, you're so good, you're the best, you're brilliant, nobody even come close to you. What it does is like, yeah, I think I am that brilliant. I am better than everybody else. I don't need to put in effort. I can still. That's a dangerous thing, because regardless how good you are, the difference between you and the next guy is razor thin, literally, because you can run maybe, you know 4.4 for your 40s. The other person can run 4.4, maybe slower than you, but that's 4.42, 4.45. Is that a big difference? No, not at all. You are 300 pounds and the other person is 295. Big deal. You can, it's just these are all big time athletes. So the motivation is huge, is very important. So there's nothing like, there's nothing can focus somebody than people telling you you are not as good as you think you are. You want to say, okay, I'm going to show you I'm as good as I thought. And then there's JJ. JJ was snubbed by the Blennikov Award for the best receivers in the country, right? He posted something after that. It's like, I'm going to get everybody. I just love that. It's yeah, he's voted the best receiver in Big Ten, but somebody else in Big Ten win the national best wide receiver award. It's just it's kind of comical. But that's nothing new for the Buckeyes, because for Buckeye players and coaches like Ryan Day, if you perform well, you don't get the credit, because you're Ohio State. You're supposed to do well. You think about Indiana. Indiana, sure, they did perform brilliantly, right? But do you think he did a better job than Ryan Day? Well, his challenge is different than Ryan Day's challenge. Ryan Day has a relatively younger team and had came out a national championship, had to motivate the whole team, the team to perform well throughout the whole year. And he did a brilliant job there. And you know but everybody think, oh, Indiana, you gotta have, and they had the vote, ask the coaches who are the best coaches in the playoff, and they named the four, and Ryan Day was not one of them. It's just it's kind of comical, but yeah, and same for the players. You know, Julian Sain is brilliant. He set the NCAA record for completion accuracy, but that's because you have J.J. Smith and then Carnell Tate. Who wouldn't perform that brilliantly? Really? And then when you talk about JJ, yeah, you have Julian Sain throw the ball to you. He's so accurate. You don't, who wouldn't? It's just comical, you know. Not to mention that Jeremiah Smith, his number is comparable to, comparable to the USC player, to a USC wide receiver who won the award. But just look at the attention Jeremiah Smith demands on the field. Have you ever seen like 4 or 5 players are attracted by one player? Have you ever seen that? It's comical. It's really, really comical, because it's just you see that so clearly. And why does that happen? Because the coaches of the other team knows who's the best player, and all the players on the team knows who's the best player on the field. So, I mean, yeah, whatever. So, but we'll see. You could have best player, you could have the best team, but if you don't perform, it doesn't mean anything, right? So we'll see how they perform against Miami this weekend. So this is 2 legs better. I'm in New Zealand right now, and actually the wind is not as big now, but the whole day it was raining and the wind was huge. Now it's kind of dwindling down a little bit. Anyway, so um, Christmas is here, and New Year's is here. So happy holidays to everyone. Um, Psychologically speaking, I'm not a big fan of holidays. Holidays are like, well, I'm not a big fan of that. I'll give you my reasoning in the future, I suppose. And I I'm thinking about doing like a personal biography kind of a series on here, because I grew up. I was born in China in the rural in a small village actually in the northeast part of China, and I you know I went to Beijing. I went to United States, Hong Kong, and now New Zealand. I think my story might be interesting to some people, so I might be talking about that in the future. And anyhow, especially when the footballs are not here, right? The football season is coming to an end. Let's hope for some great games, and but also, anywho. So this is Two Legs Better, and happy holidays to everybody. Enjoy, and I'll please subscribe and come back, and I'll talk to you later.